So, theme, style, and voice. These are things that I personally feel like I struggled really hard with, especially voice. Um, and they're like really important things in art. Everyone wants to have a unique voice, and like a style of their own that people like. And that's really, really, really fucking difficult, I think. Personally, it was extremely hard for me. The biggest thing I think that helped me find a voice in my work is really intense emotional pain. And, I don't recommend that, obviously, but for me, that's really what I feel gave me my voice. I was in just such a bad place emotionally, and nothing would make me feel better. Nothing made me feel better. And I had to really look deep inside my heart and find something that was satisfying for my soul, that I was in control of, that came from me. And only through really deep emotional pain did I find that. It came from inside me, and that's where that voice comes from. It's like it's in your soul. You have to quiet all the other voices in your head that are like causing you to second guess what you're doing, quiet all of them and find that voice of your soul and listen to it. It's like your intuition, and you just trust it and you go with it every time. And it's not going to be right, that's for sure. Not every time. It's going to suck a lot of the time. But that's okay. And you have to learn to trust it anyway. And you have to learn to see when it's making bad decisions, and learn from those and learn how to use those to your advantage and turn them to your advantage. It's like making a mistake and then leaving it so that you can learn from it and try to work that mistake into the piece that you're working on. That becomes, part of your style, and that'll also start to give you more confidence in yourself, because you know that you can trust that intuitive gut feeling that you have. And like anything, it gets stronger, the more you flex it and the more you work on it. So by trusting it, you're like working it out, and it gets stronger. Sticking to a theme is extremely difficult, I think, also, because, we want to explore all kinds of different things. Like, you get bored with things. You don't want to just do the same thing over and over. And I've struggled with that, especially. I want to do so many things that it's hard for me to like pick a genre to stay inside of and work with. But in some ways that's okay, and really you want to find a theme that's flexible enough, that you don't have that happen to you, where you don't feel like you're drawing the same thing over and over or whatever. You want to have like a variety theme that you're like good at and are also part of the theme. And I think that's why this like spooky, witchy, black magic inspired art that I'm doing currently works for me so well, because there's so many things that I enjoy drawing within that theme. Like it's a lot of nature-based stuff. I can go crazy with ink work all day, and there's like animals and figures and crystals and pine cones and mushrooms and plants and just like there's a lot of stuff. Skulls. It's all stuff that I like a lot, and that's important. If you're gonna work with a theme, you gotta enjoy it a lot. Witchcraft for me personally is in my blood. My grandma's a witch, my mom's a witch, I'm a fucking witch. And I think that's important too for your voice and your style, is to do something you really, know about and are passionate about and care about, because that'll show in the work. There's just more to it. You can get that gravity to the stuff that you make by having something behind it. That's really important, I think. Knowing, the information behind what you're trying to create. So there's more than just the aesthetic of the piece itself. There's like backstory and meaning to the actual visual iconography that you're using, and that gives it so much more. I think that's a really big part of where voice comes from. But definitely really trusting your own instincts is key. Like absolutely, just, and it's going to be frustrating at first, and it's been extremely frustrating for me for years trying to do that and trying to make that into a style, because it's not always good and it comes out bad a lot of the time. But you got to do it. You got to train your intuition. You got to trust yourself every time, even if you're wrong, and then learn from your mistakes and like figure out for yourself why you were wrong, why it went wrong, and how you can fix it in your way. And that develops your style. And it just takes time. It took me a really, really, really long time, it feels like. I was struggling for it forever. And for me, it's come out of the struggle. That's where my voice came from, was from having such a hard time in life, really. Just, a lot of shit happened, and I had no choice. It felt like I was like in a black pit, and I had to claw my way out. So I developed claws to pull myself out of the pit, and that became my voice in my work. I was finally doing things that really felt good to me, like that they meant something to me, and it was because it was stuff I decided to do that I wanted, with no, judgments from anyone else. Like, I tried to just shut out all of those voices in my head that weren't my own, questioning me, and questioning every decision that I was making. It was making me second guess everything, not just with the art, but everything. And I'd cut them all out. Like, I would actively go against them, and it didn't always work out. But I feel like I learned the most from the worst experiences that I had through that, and grew spiritually, artistically, and mentally through those moments the most. So, in the end, those are good, and you can't be afraid of those. And in that way, it's taught me to not be afraid of the mistakes that I make, um, not in my artwork, not in my life, because you're gonna learn from them. That's just the way it is. And that doesn't mean to be like too reckless or anything. Don't go out looking to make mistakes, but don't be afraid of them either. They can turn out to your advantage a lot of the time. At least with the artwork, I don't even worry about mistakes anymore. They don't phase me. I just move right through them. Like, I just leave them in and work around them. Like, I fully adopted the philosophy that mistakes are opportunities. They're just like a teaching tool to teach yourself something. You find your way around it, and it really does work. And if you figure out how to solve those problems, your own way each time, that just builds your visual repertoire, your voice that you're working on. That's where it comes from, I think. It's where mine came from. Really just not being afraid of making mistakes. And that helps so much because confidence is key in everything. Be like Naruto, blind confidence. It works. You just keep standing up every time you get knocked down, and you learn to trust yourself, and your work becomes better because of that, and then your style, and it gets better and better. But it is really difficult to get to. It has been for me. But like the witchcraft art that I've been doing it's very satisfying to me because I've always just loved the aesthetic of it, of all that stuff. And it's been a big part of my life. And it really feels like, the work that I do recently comes from my soul, like from really deep within myself. It's mine. And it feels great to have that. It's amazing. And when you do get that, it grows, and like I wouldn't say it becomes easier because it's never easy. So there's always new challenges, but it like grows exponentially from itself once you find it and you start cultivating that theme that you've got. It just stacks and stacks and stacks because you can start to reference yourself and your own style, and it just builds this bigger thing than the individual pieces, and I think that's really cool. It's just really satisfying to have that. Just a lot of practice too, obviously with anything artistic. It's so much, it's time. You just put a bunch of time into it, and a lot of it is not going to be good. I keep saying that, but it's really important, I think, to remember that your artistic journey is going to be a lot of crap that you're going to make along the way. And it's okay. You got to get the bad drawings out. You got to do 1,000 bad drawings before you can do one good one, and that's absolutely true. It's probably like 10,000 bad drawings for one good drawing, and you just do them. Just do bad drawings, bunch of them, because those are the ones that'll teach you your voice and your style, and then you'll get better, and they get better. But you just can't be afraid of bad drawings. It's really important to just work through that. And that can be frustrating for sure. It's been frustrating for me too. And especially these days, it's hard for me to want to just do a bunch of crappy drawings or practice things that I know I should be practicing because I just want everything to be beautiful. But you know, no matter how far you get, you have to just keep working on those fundamentals and doing bad drawings. It's just like, you know, it's just working out, just flexing the creative muscles in your brain and, you know, the muscle memory in your hand. It's just good to get them out. And, you know, like, you learn from your mistakes and you learn from your bad drawings. So if you're never doing bad drawings anymore and you're only doing good ones, then you're probably going to plateau, and that's going to suck, because why would you want that? Art is like infinite growth, and you can just keep going and keep going and keep evolving. There's like no end to it, and that's fucking awesome, I think. So you gotta just do it. You gotta practice all the time. Do bad drawings. Do stuff you wouldn't normally do. And that's the thing too, like, you know, if you're trying to stick to a theme and you get like bored or you want to do something else, just do something else. Like, it's okay too. It's okay to do that. And then go back to your theme or whatever, because then you'll probably have learned something that you wouldn't have just because you did something different. That happens for me all the time. I'll just try something differently, not even thinking about it, and learn something that applies to my main style, and it's good. It's good to do that. And that'll keep you from getting bored, I guess, with your theme, because it can happen for sure. And it's really difficult. So just practice, 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 and then practice some more. Also, I think that it's not really that important to worry about too early on, too, if you're just starting. It's more important to get good at the fundamentals. And then through that, you'll learn like what you really care about and what's your favorite parts of those things and how to apply those into a more, you know, specific niche later on down the line once you're technically skilled, because that's something that art teachers told me, and I think it's really, really true and important. You know, if you're too focused on a style in the beginning, it can be detrimental to your fundamentals because you're not focusing on them enough. So really, theme and style are secondary to fundamentals, but not really any less important, in my opinion. But you really need to focus on those fundamentals. That's all I'm saying. And that just goes back to practice and sketching and drawing bad drawings over and over and over until you start to understand what's happening. Because that's a big part of style and theme, is like a deep understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it, conscious decisions. So yeah, that's what I have to say about theme and style. I hope that was helpful.